over to Ben at around 8 o'clock. I will have a few sort of noticey things and some resources and things like that that you may be interested in. Hopefully, oh, I don't want that again. Let's just have a look. Let's see if we can share this. Okay, can we see that, people? So some of these things I just remind us of every time we meet. So some of these things you'll be like, yes, I'm aware of that. I'm part of that, or I know about that. But if not, just to remind you, we have 2 Facebook groups based around Sheffield and South Yorkshire. I should say hi to Susan, who's joined us from Newcastle this evening. Good evening, Susan. We have a youth page and a children's page, and in that you're very much invited to participate, to post things of interest that you feel that other people involved with children's ministry or youth ministry would find interesting. So if you ever come across a good article or a good website, or you hear of a good event that's going on, please do share it in these groups, because that's what makes them come alive when the network are sharing. It's certainly a place where things that come across my desk that I think, oh, that's a really interesting report, or that's a good new resource, that's where I'll post things in. And I'm hopeful that some people find that helpful resource center to go to. So those 2 groups are open to you to join if you haven't already. Who's heard of the Holliford Trust? Wave to me if you've come across the Holliford Trust. Most of you. If you haven't, it is a small grant-making body that gives away sort of grants up to £400 for young people aged between 10 and 25. So it includes startup grants if you want to start a new youth group, or there's a new event that you're wanting to do, or if you're wanting to take the young people that you work with on a trip somewhere. Then the Holliford Trust is definitely worth looking into. I've put the website there, but even if you just Googled Holliford Trust Sheffield Diocese or something like that, you would find it. There's a very short list of criteria that we can give money to. The trustees, of which I'm one, meet 4 times in the year, and we give around £10,000 a year to young people in and around Sheffield Diocese area. For all kinds of things. But connected with that, we also have the big awards, which I encourage people to get together on, to think of a bigger plan, a piece of youth work that maybe would involve a number of churches working together to put on either a big event or a trip somewhere, or start up a new thing for your area. And if that would, if you know people, or if that would sound good in your ears, then we have an annual award of £2,500, which is exciting. And the deadline for submitting your sort of idea, your suggestion for that, is at the end of this year. So not long, about 6 weeks, is it, until the end of the year? And then the award is awarded in around February time. So if you have some ideas, go to the website and get some money. Breathe Deep is happening. Whoop, whoop, whoop. 28th of January. Again, if you're working with young people at all, if there are young people in your church, please let them know about the date, even if it means that you haven't quite got consent forms and booking ready for yourselves. Let people know so they can get it in their diary. The booking is open on the website. And we have extended the day by half an hour because we never quite have enough time. So we've decided that we're going to finish at 4 o'clock this time round. So it's 10 till 4, 28th of January in Sheffield Cathedral. And we're also making use of the Quaker Meeting House. Do you know that, anyone? Just up the road from the cathedral is a building called the Quaker Meeting House, and they've got some bigger rooms that we can use for our workshop spaces. So if you were at Breathe Deep earlier this year, you'll know that our workshops were one of the kind of crunch points where we didn't quite have enough space. So we're hoping that will make it even better. So please pass information around like that. Again, this flyer is on the Facebook group for the youth, and you can go to the website as well if you know people. So talk about that as much as you can. On the Breathe Deep website, you'll also find details about our prayer community that we encourage young people to be a part of, to pray the diocesan vision prayer each day, and to be reading their Bible and growing in their faith in those ways. And also a personal rule of life cards. You can download them there, but even if you want some physical cards all nicely printed, you can drop me a message and I can send you a batch for your group in your church. Rule of life is about making decisions, young people making decisions about what they want to change, what they want to do differently to help them grow as a disciple, grow in their faith in some ways. Lots of creative ideas inside the cards, and a simple thing to fill out. And it's a helpful little discipleship tool, really. So if you haven't used that with your young people, or even if you have, but it's been a long time, it's good to revisit that and encourage. You work with your children's group as well, but it's ideally designed for the young people. Joined Up is also around the corner. Whoop, 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 whoop. 4th of March, which is not a good day in my house because it is Tonya's birthday, my wife's birthday. So I am in the black book. I said every 5 or 6 years, the first Saturday in March lands on her birthday, and it hasn't happened for a while, and it happens next year. So I've got to think of a creative way to make her day feel special. But unfortunately for me, I will be with you lot, hopefully, unfortunately I say, but with Joined Up at Victoria Hall in Sheffield with the lovely, adorable Lucy Moore, who many of you will know as the founder of Messy Church, but she now has a relatively new role as the head of Growing Faith Foundation in the Church of England. And she is a force to be reckoned with and a great communicator, and brings a wonderfully beautiful heart for children's ministry and indeed youth ministry, but her heart and her background is in children's ministry. So she's going to be our keynote speaker, and we've got, it says 18 workshops. I think we've got 20 now. Good value for money. 20 different workshops. They're all on the website now, and you can book in already if you want to. So go and check that out if you haven't already. I've mentioned this course a couple of times. You might have heard me talk about it. It's called Be Abuse Aware. I've been working with Ryan Gadsby, who was one of our Centenary Project interns a couple of years ago. And as a survivor of sexual abuse, he is a powerful and articulate advocate for being abuse aware in all that we do as children's and young people's workers. And there are various statistics, but one of the most upsetting statistic is that around 1 in 10 children before the age of 18 have been sexually abused. And I'm keen, as Children's and Young People's Advisor for the diocese, to encourage everyone who works with children and young people, not just to get their safeguarding training, which is essential, but also to start thinking about how aware are we of the abuse that could be happening with the children and the young people that we work with. And so Ryan and I have been developing this course, and we're talking with the national safeguarding team as well down in London, who are very interested in the course, how we can develop it and roll it out. Ryan's still at university, so he doesn't have all the time in the world to give to it, but we're hoping that sort of in the springtime at some point we'll be able to invite some more people to be part of this piece of training. So just keep your eyes open for that. If you're interested, you can ask me some more questions at some point. Has anyone come across or used Lectio for Families? A couple of nods and a wave. There's a little video that comes with this, so I will play it. I don't think it was too long. This is a great resource for families who want to help develop the faith of those they care for at home. So let's just listen to this video and see if it convinces you to recommend this to the children and families you work with.
Finding quality time to pray and read the Bible with your family is hard. Lectio for Families can help. Lectio for Families is a free devotional app from 24/7 Prayer that enables families to read the Bible and explore faith through conversation and prayer together. It includes daily Bible readings, a weekly memory verse, engaging questions to pause and talk about together, and ideas for reflection and prayer. Lectio for Families can be used wherever and whenever families are together. At the dinner table, in the car, out walking, or even at bedtime. Parents can download the app onto a mobile device for free. Then families can choose to either listen to the audio content together or read it by passing the device to each other. Lectio for Families is simple, but it really works. It'll help your family grow in faith together as you practice the presence of God in simple, creative ways each day. The Lectio for Families app is available to download now.
There we are. Has anyone used this app who could talk about either its benefits or how families that you've worked with have used it? Or is this a bit of a new one? Nobody's got any live examples. I've certainly downloaded it. I haven't used it with my young man who's just headed to bed now. I can hear him. We do some other things, but I have looked at this app and it does look nice the way that you can either play the audio of some reflection and some Bible reading, or you can read it yourself. There's different ways of handling it. It seems to be quite a helpful resource. So certainly something if you're working with young families, or even, mums and toddlers group, and parents are wanting to know and think about how they can develop sort of faith encouraging practices at home, then sometimes little resources like this can be really helpful for that. So have a look. Oh, we don't need that again. So I mentioned Lucy Moore just now, who's going to be our guest speaker at Joined Up. She is the head of the Growing Faith Foundation. A couple of things I wanted to flag up to you about them. They're a new team in the National Church of England structures, if you like. Some of you might have known Mary Hawes, who was the National Children's Officer. And maybe some of you came across Jimmy Dale, who was the Young Discipleship Officer. Not sure if officer was his title. Unfortunately, both of those people have been made redundant. They've had lots of changes in National Church, but what has come out of it in a positive way is the Growing Faith Foundation. And two of the many things that they're involved with are learning hubs and learning programs. The learning hubs, they are wanting to encourage, I think, 10 or 12, I can't remember, Sarah, can you remember? I always go blank on this, whether it's 10 or 12, learning hubs around the country. I think it's 12 hubs, and for each hub, they're offering £10,000 to be centres, hubs, networks of people who are proactively learning and developing creative ideas of how to connect those three areas of a child's life: church, school, and home. Often those three areas are quite disconnected. There might be some church and home connections. If parents or carers are particularly proactive with sort of faith development at home, they might follow up what's happened at church, but often the link to school is another disconnect. So something the Growing Faith Foundation is trying to encourage is that kind of interconnectedness and communication between church, school, and hub. And one of the things that we're looking at putting in an application just at the end of this week is to become one of these learning hubs, so that those involved with our church and schools projects might come together and actually be a learning hub where we proactively think and come up with our learning and creative ideas of how to connect church, school, and home together. And I felt that our church and schools projects do that, because it's church happening in a school with the parents there as well and carers. So we've got all those three areas connecting. So I'm hopeful that that will be a piece of work that we can develop. The other thing to say there's learning programs is that Growing Faith Foundation is also trying to create some training opportunities for those people who are in employed ministry and have sort of strategic oversight of some. So it might be suitable for centenary project workers, or those who have a position of sort of oversight for children's and young people's work. They're creating training programs, learning programs. They're not calling them training courses because they don't like the word course. It's more of an experience, a learning experience where you connect up with different people from around the world, and there's different ways of processing, learning, some private study, some group work, and things like that. So keep your eyes open for those things as they come up. I'll probably post more things in the Facebook groups. Thank you, Susan. You've said it's 12 hubs. So there's that. And I think my last one, as it's now 8 minutes, is, and I think Joanne Gilchrist said some of this stuff. Did she come to the Santini Project Network, Sarah? I think you had Joanne to come and talk about her God app, but also this new book has come out. It's been endorsed by our very own Bishop Sophie. Those of you who know Fiona Walton, one of our joined up team who heads up Christians and Sheffield Schools, has written this with Joanne, and it's a lovely booklet which could well be a suitable gift for Christmas. If you're still looking for, like, if you give out little gifts to children or families at Christmas time, this would be a lovely thing. It's not necessarily a Christmas book, but it certainly would be suitable to give to children and to families at Christmas time. So I am on no commission, but I have looked at this a little bit online, and it does look like a lovely resource. And by the look of it, it's $6.99 if you want one copy, but you can buy them in bulk and get a bit of a discount. So have a look at the website if that's something that sounds good to you as well. Has anyone else come with anything that they think, right, he's not mentioned this? I've just come across this amazing thing that I've now been doing with the children's and the young people's group that I work with. If you've got anything that's on the tip of your tongue that you're ready to talk about, come off of mute and tell us all. I should have given you a warning, shouldn't I? You'd be like, there's just enough people on screen that I can just stare and pretend that I haven't got to do it. That's fine, because I should probably stop anyway. We are just after 9 o'clock, so I'm not going to keep you much longer, apart from to encourage you to join with a prayer to finish. I often use this as our diocesan vision prayer to help us feel part of the diocese as well, part of a lot of people who are praying this regularly. Maybe it's something that you pray too, but we'll say this together. You can stay on mute, probably is the easiest way, otherwise it gets hard to say, but I encourage you to say it out loud unless somebody's right in the next room and you're going to be embarrassed. But let's say this together. Living God, Jesus calls his followers to seek first your kingdom. Renew us as we make your love known. Release us to share freely together in mission, and rejuvenate us to be fruitful in your service. Give us courage, wisdom, and compassion that, strengthened with the grace of the Holy Spirit, we may, as the Diocese of Sheffield, both flourish and grow through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you again, Ben. We'll see you soon. Have a good Christmas. If I don't see you before then, we'll have another network gathering in May time, but before that, joined up conference, and also Breathe Deep. If you can grab a young person from your church and join them at Breathe Deep, it'd be good to see you then. But go and have some cereal or a hot drink and be kind to yourself at the end of this day. It's nice to see you all.